Okay, so we're going to do war photographer.
Great.
What
Sounds good.
It's a jolly poem.
Full of laughs.
lots of hilarious imagery. Okay. In his dark room, he is finally alone.
Yeah. So I guess the important things there, he's in a dark room, which means he's a photographer, as you might guess from the title.
Well, no, in the olden days, nowadays photographers have like digital cameras and it's all basically magic and computers. But in the olden days, you used to have to go into a room.
Dark room.
Yeah, and take the film out of the camera and then do stuff to it. There'll be more of that stuff later in the poem. So yeah, we know straight away we are in the third person and we're talking about a photographer.
So I guess in terms of techniques, the important bit is the sort of word choice of finally and the emphatic position of alone, because it's this idea that he has been in a war zone, so he's been surrounded by action continually, whereas now he's finally alone, like he can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief to be away from all this action and be able to actually reflect on the sort of the horrors he's seen.
But is it a relief? Or is he maybe
Well,
better suited for the war zone? Let's keep reading and see.
Let's. I would hate to spoil it.
With spools of suffering set out in ordered rows. I love this.
Is that your fave?
Yeah, well, spools of suffering. So alliteration, or is it sibilance? Sibilance.
Like snake.
Evil. Yeah. So hints of danger there. A spool is a little tub that film used to be kept in. It still is probably if you have a camera that has actual film. Spools of suffering set out in ordered rows. This is the ordered rows.
So hold on, you've missed a bit. Spools. The fact that there's several spools suggests how much suffering there is. Like there's lots. There's not just a spool. There's many spools. Sorry, ordered rows.
No, that's very relevant. It's an idea that's going to continue. There's lots of photography, lots of pictures, and it's through this process that we're, there's a line here. So yeah, ordered rows. So if you imagine these little cases that the film comes in, all in a neat little line, and that is reminiscent of war graves. If you Google war graves, then you'll find that they are basically where people who die in a war are buried when they come back to the Western world. But they're buried very neatly, and all the graves look identical. So these spools suggest graves related to war straight away. So we're bang right in there with that theme.
You've also got the idea they're set out in ordered rows, like he's trying to, put some order into the chaos. He's trying to make sense of the stuff that he's seen.
Oh, very good, yeah.
Thanks.
So the only light is red and softly glows, as though this were a church, and he a priest preparing to intone a mass. So the only light is red and softly glows.
So red, I guess, kind of connotations with blood that you would get in war zones, but also
Danger.
like the room is also literally red because that's the, I don't know, what would you say, like the light wave that doesn't damage the photographs when they're being developed.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? Yeah. So if you are in a dark room, everything is a red light shines and so on. The comparison there when we link to a church, and this is an idea that runs through the poem, is priests have a vocation. So priests don't choose to be priests; they're called by God.
Like us in teaching, it's not just a job; we're called to do it.
We certainly don't do it for the money. So yeah, he is. He's doing it because he has to, because this is something that's going to be an idea right through it, and so he's compared to a priest in a sort of extended metaphor here. The only light is red, and priests, they have these red candles in church. I think it's the Catholic red candle. If you're a fan of the TV show Daredevil, the introduction is all like red wax, and that's because Daredevil is a Catholic. So there you go. But I'm kind of going off the subject here. As though this were a church, the comparison that this is a religious rite There's an idea of this will come back later in the poem. This idea of last rites, like how wherever you get death, you have religion, you have ceremony.
Yeah, it's also the idea of the seriousness of it. Like if you go to a mass, it's a serious event, and it's like the photographer is taking his job seriously, as a priest would take delivering a mass seriously.
And yeah, I think we've about covered that. Priest preparing, bit of alliteration there. Anything else there we've missed?
Don't think so.
So yeah, just basically the extended metaphor there, which is very deep and sort of like has a lot of connections to the broader themes. Final line: Belfast, Beirut, Phnom Penh.
Is that how you say it? Phnom Penh.
Oh, I just realised this is how
I realise that every time I teach word photographer, I always realise I'm not 100% certain of how to say that word.
it's like I say in the class, you don't have to pronounce it in the exam.
So leave a comment in the comments section, guys, with it spelled phonetically.
Oh no, I've blocked comments.
Okay.
I don't trust these guys.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. Who knows what they're going to say about us?
Belfast, Beirut, Phnom Penh. So that's a list of 3.
Yeah. And they are individual sentences as well.
And what does
and what was that?
I was going to say, what does an individual sentence have?
I don't know.
Impact.
Like a bullet or a bomb.
Ooh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
punchy. Belfast, Beirut. But also.
That's gunfire there. So they didn't give any of the capitals.
Sorry, we shouldn't trivialise this.
But they didn't give the capitals that really sound like gunfire, like Daka Daka.
But it is plosive signs as well, so again it adds to Shut up, I'm trying to make a point.
Sorry.
It's like the plosive signs as well, so it adds to the the rapid fire kind of sound of aggression as well.
Yeah, excellent. And yeah, it's getting across that these are all places where lots of people have died. So it's heavy, it's intense. It's summing up that wherever there is war, there is death, and this guy is going to follow with his camera. Final bit there: that all flesh is grass. So this is a Bible quote, isn't it?
I believe so, yes. And I think we've spoken about this before, and I think actually we had different ideas about this. They both sound good.
We spoke for about 53 minutes and we couldn't come to an agreement. My idea was that like the bodies are everywhere, so it's like the grass, it's everywhere.
Whereas I was saying that what was I saying? That life can be snuffed out as easily as the life of a blade of grass. Like just as if you step on a blade of grass, it will be easily damaged, so too is human life because it's fragile.
And then the third party at the time said also this idea of the bodies go back into the ground and then the plants grow, so you've got the circle of life there.
Yeah.
So he has a job to do. Solution slop in trays. Sibilance, yeah. And very suggests the sort of the movement of the shaking a tray of pictures. If you want to see what developing pictures was like in the olden days, Google it.
But also with solution slop as well. It's like solutions, like it literally is the chemical solution, but also it's the idea that the photographer is trying to find a solution to these conflicts by reviewing these photos. So the fact that they slop rather than sit his trays is like a clumsy thing, like he's never gonna have to blunder his way through to find anything close to a solution.
Yeah, so he's trying to fix things with his photos and it's not really working. So they slop beneath his hands, which did not tremble then, though seem to now. So this idea that as he's doing this, his hands start to shake. Mm-hmm. Now, when he's out taking pictures in the war zone, never a problem. But now, when he's in his dark room, this emotion comes out. So it's the release of all these emotions he's bottled up in the war zone.
Yeah. So in the war zone, he's just focused on take this photo, take that photo. But then when he's home, he's got time to reflect on it, and he realizes what a sad and horrifying thing it is. and that's why now he's shaking as he remembers those things.
So it introduces this idea of contrast, which is going to come to the fore now. Rural England. Now another short sentence with a place, but this one may be delivered more in a sort of calm and relaxed manner, because rural England is not a war zone. So rural, what does rural mean?
Countryside.
So it's kind of, imagine sort of like stereotypical view of sort of the countryside with the village green,
Yeah.
the church face.
Midsummer Murders-esque, but without the murders.
Yeah, the vicar on a bicycle, children playing on the streets, all that kind of stuff. The sort of the world that doesn't really exist, but is maybe what someone votes for when they want to leave the EU. And then this comparison, home again to ordinary pain, which simple weather can dispel.
Yeah, it's this idea that in this country we go like, oh, it's raining, my life's terrible, it sucks, blah blah blah. When actually, for most people, life in rural England in this country isn't that bad, whereas in the war zones, it's properly rubbish because every day they're like fighting for their lives. Whereas for us, if it's sunny, we're like, huh, it's not so bad.
First world problems.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
So, home again to ordinary pain, which simple weather can dispel, to fields which don't explode beneath the feet of running children in a nightmare heat.
So that references the napalm attacks in Vietnam, famous photo of, is it a little girl?
Yeah, a little girl running.
Yeah, running away from the attacks in pain.
Yeah, if you Google like running napalm girl, like you'll find this very famous image of this poor girl running naked away from the bombings, obviously in great pain with this agent on her skin.
Although that photo apparently went some way to helping end that war.
So it's an example of the effect that war photography can have.
Or like the potential solutions that could be found through these photos.
And yeah, the exploding fields are reference to mines. So next time you walk to school, be grateful that you don't walk on mines, because lots of people aren't that lucky. And next time you complain about the weather being bad, first world problems. First world problems.
Just get a brolly, you'll be fine.
Exactly. So now something is happening. A stranger's features faintly start to twist before his eyes. A half-formed ghost.
So they're twisting in two ways, in that the photos in the solutions are becoming visible, and so are twisting into sight, but then also twisting in the sense that this guy's in pain because he's dying, so his face is all like,
And so he's described as a half-formed ghost. So in one sense, as the picture is appearing, it's kind of see-through. It's slowly, like pictures in a solution don't just appear; they slowly appear. And as he's appearing, because he's sort of translucent, he has that sort of see-through quality.
Yeah.
He's a half-formed ghost. But of course, where do ghosts come from?
dead people.
So yeah, you've got that connection there.
He's
with
close
the,
to death, so he's halfway to being a ghost.
Now the war photographer, of course, is sort of seeing this image. He's sort of pulled back into the memory. He remembers the cries of this man's wife, how he sought approval without words to do what someone must.
So he would speak a different language to this wife, this woman. So he's kind of just looking at her, kind of going, "Is it cool if I take this pic?" I mean, obviously she's not that fussed because her husband's dying in front of her, so she's probably more kind of focused.
Just
on
get
that.
on with it, you know. But yeah, it does get across these intense, horrible things the war photographer has to do.
Yeah.
That he has to ask someone with his hands, basically, if he can take this picture. And there's a sense here of it being a last rite.
Yeah.
So the last rite is when the priest does a final prayer with someone before they die and gives them a chance to repent their sins one last time to make sure they get into heaven. This is the same. Before the man dies, he takes a picture to try and do some good. How he sought approval without words to do what someone must, and how the blood stained into foreign dust.
So yeah, so the idea that his blood is literally spilling onto the land, but also the idea of stained implies like it's a permanent imprint, like the land in which wars happen can never fully recover from the atrocities that occur there.
And yet the dust suggests to me that it's maybe transitory. It's that people don't care about it. People don't care about dust. It'll get blown away. It's people don't care. They don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, also the idea ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Okay, so final verse. 100 agonies in black and white, from which his editor will pick out 5 or 6 for Sunday's supplement.
Yeah, so there's lots of pictures and they're in black and white because black and white photos for a newspaper. But also like black and if you say something like, oh, it's black and white, like it also means like it's obvious, it's clear to see. So the suffering is clear to see. But then the fact that the editor is just kind of sitting there like looking through these hundreds of pictures and all he picks out is 5 or 6, like he's just kind of being like, oh, which ones of these are gonna, you know, sell the most newspapers? Like who actually kind of cares about all of this suffering? Let me just pick the most gruesome ones so that...
Yeah, there's no sense that he's affected by this.
No, he's not caring.
He's just whittling it down from 100 pictures to... Which wasn't all the pictures the photographer took, it was just his pics from them. So then he's going to whittle that down to 5 or 6, and there's already this sense of futility, which is all through the final verse. So there's stages here. You've got the he's back, he's developing the solutions. He sees the pictures, he remembers what happened, and then the final stage here of delivering them to his newspaper, and we see the effect. So the reader's eyeballs prick with tears between the bath and pre-lunch beers.
So I guess it's the idea that like prick with tears, they're not in floods of tears, and the reason for that is that they care a bit, like they look at it and they go, oh, that's a wee shame, but they're not that fussed. And the fact that they're able to, you know, go for a bath and beers afterwards rather than be like, right, we've got to get over there, we've got to help these people, kind of exemplifies that they don't really care about it.
Yeah, it's just people like a little bit of feeling bad maybe in their day. It doesn't change their routine.
It's like when people see a car crash and you stare at it as you go past. Like you just go, oh God, how horrible. But you don't really, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see that, but it's this idea that like we all like a little bit of feeling sad every now and then. But if that's just to make us feel like we've done our job and move on, then that's not really helping anyone. And so again, it's the sort of futility of this quest, that he wants to sort of change the world. He wants to sort of grab people and say, look, people are dying, but he's not necessarily having that effect. And yeah, I think that's really shown by the sort of the decadence of the bath and the pre-lunch beers. It's just sort of this sort of really comfortable first world Sunday routine. And yeah, a prick being very, very small, just a tiny tear. So the end there. From the aeroplane he stares impassively at where he earns his living, and they do not care.
So yeah, so what's this guy doing? Back on the plane, looking down, he doesn't feel a connection to his homeland, which is why he's impassive. And the reason he doesn't feel that connection is because he does care, because he's seen it firsthand. Whereas most people who live in his homeland don't care because they've not seen it. All they've seen are these best kind of photos that the editors picked. So yeah, and they do not care obviously references the indifference of the people of the UK to the suffering of the others in the war zone.
And yeah, it's this sort of the final message of the poem is very bleak. He's going to keep doing this. He keeps trying to tell people to try and make this difference, but they just aren't listening to him.
Like when we say things like revise, start revising now, but nobody listens, and then the day before the exam, people come and go, oh God, this horrible thing is about to happen to me, woo! And we're like, well, why didn't you start revising? I'm not even trying to be subtle here, guys.
Revise!
Revise!
So, death, theme of death.
Yeah.
Other themes?
Religion, contrast,
Loss.
Yeah. A person who like goes through a difficult experience.
Setting's
Yeah,
important.
setting.
So there's two settings there. There's the environment
Rural
of
England.
rural England,
Blah,
and
blah, blah.
the war zone. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. I think that about covers it.
I reckon so.
Excellent.
Petrie Bollard out.